What's up, guys? Today we're going to be making kontomire stew, and for this recipe, we're just going to be using a mix of agushi and kontomire. Luckily for me, I've got a whole lot of kontomire in the garden, so basically, it's just going out there and taking them off and bringing them in and washing them. You can either cook kontomire by steaming it a bit and then putting it in an earthenware bowl or a mashing bowl and then just grinding that very fine. Or what you can also do is you can just slice the kontomire like you see me doing now, and then you're going to add that to the stew and then let it cook. The one thing that you need to be careful of is that kontomire, when not cooked properly, can irritate your throat. And for some people, even just touching kontomire can make them break out or they are a bit allergic to it. And so that is something to watch out for, especially if you haven't cooked kontomire before. And we're also going to be adding some kobe or akpatogui as well as momoni. Now, momoni and kobe both have salt. Momoni is basically salted, fermented fish. The texture is a bit mushy. And kobe is basically just salted tilapia. And both of them have a lot of salt. So for the kobe, we're going to boil that for a while and then pour off the water. And then once we've done that, we're just going to flake the kobe to get the flesh out and then put that in the stew. We're going to be making this kontomire with palm oil, but you can also just use normal vegetable oil. Sometimes we use palm oil, sometimes we just use vegetable oil. The choice is really yours. So once we're ready to go, we're going to be adding the momoni. We're just going to stir that in the oil, and then we're going to be adding the onions and then just fry that for a bit. Next up, you're going to be adding your blend of tomatoes, scotch bonnet, and some shrimp, and that is going to go in there as well. At this point, you can add a bit of water. And also, you're going to be adding your kobe, your flaked kobe right there because kobe has a lot of salt and you want all of that salt to get out so that you don't end up over salting your stew. Once that's all done, your stew is simmering, you're going to add your fish as well, your fish of choice. Like I said, my favorite fish to use in a lot of these things is mackerel. So you see me using mackerel here, but you can also use tuna if you have that or any other kind of fish. So once you let that simmer for a bit, you're also going to be adding your agushi. Now the agushi is basically just agushi seeds ground up or blended in a coffee grinder. Don't make it too smooth. You just want to get them a bit smaller. And then we're going to put that into the stew. If you find that at this point your stew is a bit too dry, add some water because we want to make sure that the agushi is cooked and we want to make sure that the kontomire is also properly cooked. To be able to do that, you need to make sure that your stew at this point is not a dry stew. So once the agushi cooks, you're then going to add your sliced kontomire. Once you put it on top of the stew, just put a cover on it and then let that shrink in size, so to speak. Now, if you've seen my agushi stew video, you see that I've prepared the agushi stew in a different way. Like, when it comes to cooking a lot of things, I have several ways of doing them. I just don't do one thing one way. So this is just to show you that there is a different way of doing this as well. And once that's done, you're going to take off the lid and then just stir that into the stew so that you make sure it's all nice and even. And at this point, you want to make sure that your kontomire is cooked properly. So basically, once we've done all that, the kontomire is properly cooked, you're basically done. This stew is absolutely delicious. Of course, make sure that you've tasted to see whether you've got enough salt. For this one in particular, I didn't have to add much more salt to this because there was enough salt from the Kobe. And that's our kontomire and agushi stew already. Absolutely perfect with ripe plantain. That's my favorite way to eat kontomire or even agushi stew. But you can have this with boiled yam as well. You can have this with rice as well, or cooked cocoyam or whatever you like. And so this is basically a simple recipe. I hope that you liked it. Full recipe is up on gingerandseasalt.com. Please give this a like if you liked it. Please share with your friends. And I will see you on the next video. Happy eating!